Hi guys, CCG Collector here, and I have a great big box of Middle-earth CCG cards to open for you guys. So, while the box is already opened, like cut open, I have not seen what's inside. So let's take a look together. One case of cards. Another very large case of cards. And I think this should be the last one. Third case of cards. Alrighty. I purchased all these on eBay, and the seller said that they were in near mint condition. I mean, or a lot of them were. You can tell, at least I can tell just by looking at this box, that some of them don't appear to be. You can see how the edges are a little bit discolored, but we'll see what we got here. Now, the thing that attracted me to this particular lot was that it said most of them looked like they had been in pack-pulled condition. You know, no wear, no tear, just open the pack, put them right in the binders, so we're going to see. Right away we see it's not the case with this one. Got a little nick right up there. But let's try to. These are so full it's hard to get a decent amount at once. Good enough. Alrighty. Not near mint. Not really. Got some scoring there. But, alright, these are from the Dragons. This is from Wizards Unlimited, of course. Dragons. So really the thing that I most wanted this lot for was the blue bordered Wizards Unlimited. Now, you guys have probably seen me open some of those packs before, because that is one of the few sets I own that is incomplete. Okay, Shadowfax. Pretty sure that's a rare. And this card doesn't look half bad. I'm just going to take a look at a few more noteworthy cards and see what kind of condition they're in. Now as I'm going through these, maybe we had a few bad apples to begin things with, but the rest of these are looking alright, and I'm okay with that. I did, actually, in past videos, I have said, oh, this game is so great, and you should all play it, and I've never played it myself. Well, I rectified that this past week, actually. I had a friend over, we cracked open some starter decks, and we played the Middle-earth CCG. And, ooh, Ancient Stare, that's from Dark Minions, actually. And it was enjoyable. It was a playing experience that not a lot of card games offer. The big ones, of course, being Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's just monster versus monster, Magic, where it's monster versus monster, but you have some additional things you can do there. Let's see, Pokemon, which is monster versus monster. Star Wars, which actually has is one of my favorites and has that sort of adventuring cinematic aspect to it. What are these? These are Dark Minions, I think. And finally, Middle-earth CCG, which is actually a very cool system. The way it works is that you get your party, you start them out at a haven, a safe place, like Rivendell, or, of course, the Grey Havens, or I think there are a few other ones, Lorien, of course. And from there, you... Ooh, play whites. Very nice. From there, you go out and you travel to different locations. And at each of these locations, they have, and maybe I will be lucky enough... Did I go through these already? I did not, because I'm seeing some. Alright, and at these locations, you'll have what's called a site path. That's not a good example. Here, you have what's called a site path, which lists the various regions that you need to go through to get to this particular spot. And that determines what kind of creatures, what kind of minions your opponent can play against you to hinder you once you're there. Now, there are two reasons to... Okay, more Dark Minions. I believe. I could be way off. This might not be Dark Minions. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm guessing that's the the lidless eye, because I think, but who knows. Anyway, you get to these, oh, we got the wizards here, nice. So you get to the different sites, and you do it for, there are a variety of reasons that you might want to go to a location. You might have items in your hand that you want to play, and in order to play the items that will aid your party or that will get you marshalling points, which is how you win, you need to go to a location that has it. Like this one contains minor, major, greater items and gold ring, which is a special type of item that you can test to get different magic rings. And when you go to those sites to find those items, then there's, besides the creatures that can attack you along the way as you travel there via this site path progression, there is an automatic attack once you get to there that the opponent doesn't need any cards for. You just, before you can even search the site for anything, you get hit by this automatic attack and you have to fend it off. Now, this is the Lonely Mountain. There's a dragon there. Of course, it's Smog, but that's the idea. And that's one thing that you can do at those sites. The other is, let me try to find one. Okay, like here is an example, Welling Hall. Now, I believe this is where, just judging by the picture, where Merry and Pippin stumbled upon Treebeard. And you see that this one does not have any items stored here, any automatic attacks or anything. This is a site that you would go to pick up allies, like to pick up Thens, to pick up Quick Beam, or to pick up Treebeard, or to pick up any of those guys. And those also add to your marshalling points. So that is the objective of the game. And also, there are some characters. So let me try to find... We haven't gotten through any characters in this set, and there's a bunch of cards yet. A lot of dark cards. But there are certain characters. Your party is made up of characters, naturally. And some of them can be played to any haven. Some of them can only be played to their home city. So, for example, I think I had found Bag End in here. Or, okay, here we go. Bjorn's house. That's a good one. If you have the character Bjorn, he can only join your party if you go to Bjorn's house. So you see, there aren't any items to get here. There aren't any creatures to fend off. But this is someone who can only help you once you travel there. So it's a very cool approach to a game. It's honestly more like a role-playing game, like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of tabletop thing than a card game. Because, okay, so here's what a character card looks like. Like Bilbo, for example, it says, unless he is in the one of the starting characters, obviously you start with a certain number of characters in your company that you choose, he may only be brought into play at his home site. And his home site is Bag End. So if you wanted to get Bilbo in your party, suppose you want to give him the One Ring or something, because items, I'll get to that later. If you want Bilbo in your party, then you have to go to, here we go. If you want Bilbo in your party, you have to go to Bag End to pick him up. And then once he's in there, once he's in your party, maybe now that your fellowship is larger, you can go to other sites and fight stronger enemies, get better items, recruit more powerful allies, and ultimately have more marshalling points. Now this is something I am very happy to see. This is one of the cards that I do not have in good condition. And if eBay is anything to go by, the going rate for this particular card right now, the blue bordered one, is somewhere between $15 and $20 for this one card. So, let me just get that guy nice and protected, and we'll keep looking. So that's the game. It's a lot of fun. Now, if you're playing with just the starter deck rules, which is kind of simplified, okay, now we got some ring wraiths, which is kind of simplified, then you don't actually... Deadly Dart, I think that's a promo card. Yep, you can tell by the crown there. Ooh, very nice. Yeah, these are some good cards here. Very hard to find cards in these conditions, of course. This condition, of course. So with the introductory rules, the only way to get from... You have to go to a site via the the specified site path on these location cards. And then once you're at that site and you've done what you want to do, whether it's recruit allies or pick up an item or what have you, then you have to return to a haven, and then you branch out to the next one, and so on and so forth. Oh, that's very nice. Now, with the proper rules, the full rules, if you have the Regen cards, which are big cards with maps on them, alrighty, all these dragons, and I'm sure I'll find some of those as I go through these cards here. Come on now. There are Regen cards which come into play, and you design your own path, and you need to string together a series of regions that will get you from where you were. Hey, Skinbark. Okay, so that's one of those allies that you get at Wellinghall. That will get you from where you were to where you were going, and then you don't need to stop by at a haven. That said, havens are nice because that's where you can heal, and sometimes you have certain things like this sapling of the white tree. It says, maybe stored at minus Tirith, 2 marshalling points if stored at minus Tirith. So here, it's like a multi-phase item. You go to your site, a site that holds a major item, you defeat whatever is there, you search the site, you play this item, and now you have to return it to minus Tirith, Minas Tirith, I believe is how it's pronounced. Minas Tirith, and then you get the marshalling points. It would normally be worth 1, but if you store it there, it's worth 2. Riddle game. And right now what I'm seeing is that these cards are pretty much how the guy described them on eBay, which is something that's very nice to see. We had a little bit of an early concern with this nicked card, but as I'm looking at these, I mean, these are all crisp, and honestly, they're sorted alphabetically, the wrong way. I mean, reverse alphabetically, but they're sorted, and they're crisp and clean and clear and flawless. And just pulling them out and putting them in whatever piles fit them. So that's going to be a fun task for me to correct later on. But for now, this is just fine. Anyway, it is a long game. We did not. I mean, part of the reason that took us so long is because we had to consult the rules with pretty much every turn. But it did take us several hours, and we didn't even finish the game. My friend had to leave, and we cut it off halfway through. And that was just with the starter set, too. That was just with the Wizards expansion. Once you have other expansions and you have more quests, like the Dragons expansion, brings in the concept of dragon hordes, which have fancy items that you need to kill dragons to get, and then you can go to the place where or go get one of the expansions where you are a ring wraith, or where you're a fallen wizard, or even where you're the Balrog himself. And it gets pretty complicated. So even with just the base rules, and not even the base rules, I mean the simplified base rules, this is a game that took us several hours to play. And, in Rune Shield. But I think it was well worth it, and I think the longer we play it, the quicker it'll get, as with any game. So this is an example of one of those Dragons expansion items. This is a greater item, and it is a horde item, which I believe, I don't know the rules behind that, unfortunately. Oh yeah, these all look great. But special item too. Dwarven Rings, Durin's X. Yeah, so there are a lot of rules, a lot of expansions, and part of the reason that I buy lots like these, I mean, I was lucky to find one that had cards in legitimately mint condition. A lot of times you'll go onto eBay, you'll go and you'll try to find you'll go and you'll try to find some cards. They'll say mint condition. They won't be mint condition. They will be chipped up, or the seller will say, hey, these are mint condition just because to the naked eye from a yard away they look all right, when in reality they're not really that great of condition. There we go, good. Balrog of Moria. Now, there is no way in the world that this is not a rare. And look at that. I mean, you can see the light going over it and revealing no imperfections whatsoever. Not in the front, not in the back. No scuffs, no creases. Centering could be better, but on the whole, this is a card that I would happily call mint condition. Well, I'd call it near mint condition, and I'll get into my own grading in another video. How I do it. It is based heavily on the grading of the owner of the website Category 1 Games. He is a very precise grader, a very critical grader, which is one of the reasons that I love buying from his site. But I'm in the same boat. What I call mint condition probably would be more accurately described by a grading company as gem mint. So you can pull a card out of a pack and it might not be in mint condition. For example, if the pack got kicked or dropped before you opened it and one of the cards has a dent in it, then it would not be in mint condition. Even though there's no dirt on it, even though there's no chipping on it, there is an imperfection on it. Furthermore, and this is unfortunately a problem for me when I'm collecting the Star Wars Black Border Premier cards, which didn't have great quality to begin with, I am hesitant to call a card mint condition if it has ink spots on it, or blotches, or blotching. Even if it's not an damage to the card, it is still something that visibly takes away from the card's appeal. Oh, I don't know what to do with these now. There we go. That takes away from the card's appeal. So I don't feel comfortable calling a card mint condition if it doesn't look like a perfect card. I mean, mint is supposed to mean perfect in my mind. So that's why you'll often hear me use the term near mint as I go through cards. I'll say this is a near mint, because it's very hard to say mint when, like for example, this card, it's absolutely perfect. You can see that there are no scuffs or anything like that on it. Back looks great, but the centering is off. And even though this is a card in perfect condition, it is not visually perfect. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm being overly particular. But that's just my take on it. Similarly, with a foil card, I will call a foil card near mint all day long. But if it has a serious bend in it, a curve from the foil warping, from humidity warping the card, I'm not going to call it near mint if, you can set it on the table and it'll lift up a half inch above the table. That's not mint. That is not what you'd consider a flawless card to be. Now here's an example of a Regen card, and there are all sorts of regions for every part of Middle-earth. And these are the ones that I was saying you would use to travel without having to go back to havens. Where is that from? That's from Dragon's expansion. And they say, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's another, you got a 484 card set in the Wizards Unlimited, and probably at least a fifth of that, and certainly a sixth of it, is just Regen cards. Regen cards. And I don't like the idea of not being able to go to certain locations under the proper rules just because you don't have the cards between the locations. So, it is what it is. In official Middle-earth tournaments, they let you use a map and then say, I'm going through here, and then here, and then here. But beyond that, I think you're supposed to use the Regen cards. Anyway, this has been a nice, good, long video. Hopefully you found it informative, and I know I definitely found it very rewarding for myself. So this is the CCG Collector. These are lots and lots of Middle-earth, the Wizards, and the Dragons trading cards. And thank you all for watching.